when you log into Zoom, if you go over to New Meetings, go down here, this is where your PMI settings are, Personal Meeting ID settings. You will want to enable the waiting room. You can choose to enable the join before host, just so you know that lets them join the waiting room before the host. It doesn't let them join the main meeting. But if that way, if they are early and they click the link, then it will generate an email notification into your MTSU email account that lets you know that somebody has started a Zoom meeting and is waiting for you to start the meeting. Somebody has joined your Zoom meeting and is waiting for you to start it. That email will have a link so that you could click that link and automatically start that meeting. You can also start that meeting by pressing the new meeting button. This is sort of your forever opened meeting. You get to open the door and close the door as you see fit. And you do that by pressing this new meeting button. You can also, I was going to say, you can also assign other people to host. So if you guys were doing a group meeting, which you shouldn't. So it's just basically the enable waiting room, and then you can choose to have them join, to allow them to join the waiting room before you get signed on. So that they can wait for you rather than the other way around. That's fine. It's helpful if you're not wanting to sit there and wait on Zoom for them to show up. They can show up before you, and then you're notified to just start the meeting when they're there. Then you want to hit the save button. Over here, you go under setting, my profile, and this is where you can change some of the meeting ID information. You'll want to sign on with the SSO, which is, for us, it's MTSU, and then you click continue, and it will sign you. You'll have to sign into your account, and then it brings up your Zoom information. You've got your title. You can put your phone number there. Your advising. This is your account number. You can change your icon. You can put a profile picture. You can put a logo, whatever you want. This is your personal link. And you can go in and change it. It will be your number, but you can go in there and change it so that it is Jennifer.Rice at whatever. Jennifer Rice was taken, so I threw in the CLA so that it would allow me to use my name. It is all lowercase, and you can separate it with a period. It tells you here what it is, which letters are allowed and not allowed, and then you can save changes. This is the email address that this account is linked to. So when you get notified of something going on in Zoom, whether it is somebody who's showing up for a meeting or if there's a change to a meeting, it will email it to that email address. The rest of it's sort of time zone and calendar stuff. If you go over to settings, you can you can customize your waiting room. And this is your waiting room, so it is just for the meetings that you set up or your personal meeting room. And you can do that by, you have right here, you can click there, you've got 64 characters. You can say, hello, Janae Davis will be with you in a minute. So you can put your name in there. You can put your name and phone number and email. You got 64 characters. You can put an icon here, and it tells you what your logo icon restrictions are. It has to be a GIF, a JPEG, PNG, and it has to be 1 megabyte. It also tells you what kind of pixel size that fit best and what you can't exceed. I just Googled MTSU logos or icons, MTSU icons, and it literally is the little icon file saver. Like, it's a tiny little file, and I just saved that to my desktop and uploaded that. When you do that, it will bring you up to where you can click on the file and you upload it. Over here, you have more room. You can, here is where you can put your email address. You can put any instructions that you may want them to see before they get into the meeting. So if you want to tell them to please log on to Pipeline, if you have issues with Pipeline, here's ITD, phone number. If you want to put your phone number, your email, whatever, you've got 400 characters to put whatever you want in there, and it will show up on their waiting room screen. So when they go to log in the meeting and they are waiting for you to let them into the meeting, this is the screen that they are staring at. Whether they pay attention to that screen or not, that's yet to be seen, but at least there's information, a place to put the information you want them to have before they get in the meeting. There are some other options. As I said, there's the letting them whether you start the meeting with the video on or off, and then you can put it on. You can restrict them so that they have to start with their video off. But you're going to always want the telephone and computer audio to be clicked. You can allow them to join before the host or not. So you can kind of scroll down. This one has them all muted on their way in. These are kind of basic chat features. You can allow them to chat with each other, or presumably you guys are going to only be meeting one-on-one, but if there was ever a situation where you were going to have 2 or 3 people in the meeting at the same time, you can restrict whether they can chat with each other or if it is just you and the group back together, chatting back and forth. You can add a polling feature. You can decide who gets to share a screen, if it is just you or if it's everyone. Some of these features most of these features actually, you can change live. So if you have only the host sharing a screen allowed while you're in the meeting, and if you decide that you want your student to be able to share their screen, you can change that option live in the meeting. So those are your basic kind of meeting options. And then I will show you, once the meeting is set, some of the features. Being a host of a Zoom, you have other features that you're able to use. Breakout rooms, chat features, the waiting room feature. I will show you how all of those work. But once all those settings are set, then you can go back to your Zoom. This is where you would start your meeting, either that or from the email that you get. So once you have all your meetings set up and you have either sent them a link or they have scheduled to navigate, I'm not sure how the personal room link, the personal meeting room link gets sent to them via Navigate, but I will look into that. But presumably you have either sent either you have emailed them the link to your meeting room, or they have gotten it somehow. They've gotten an email. They are going to show up, and you are going to start the meeting. This personal meeting room is sort of virtually always open as you start the meeting and close the meeting. So think of it as opening your office door and letting somebody in, and closing the office door and shutting them and saying goodbye and letting them go home. So once they click the link in their email, you will get notified. If you've allowed them to join the meeting before you do, you will get notified in your email, and it will send you a notification. I will show you what that looks like. So you'll get an email, and it just says that somebody is joining your room. This link will automatically open the meeting. If you are the other way you can automatically or that you can open the meeting is by this button here. So if you would like to start the meeting before they get there, you don't have to wait for anybody to send you a link to open the meeting. You just click that button and your meeting is open. Your If your camera is off, and you have virtual background set, then that is the image they will see. So you can set your virtual background to whatever you want. For the customs, we have had these instructions, which I have set up as my virtual background. So when my camera is off, this is what they see. So you can do that. That's an option for you. But this is what when you start the meeting, this is what it is. If they are waiting for you to start the meeting, then once you do that, they will get notified with a question to join with the video, join without, or whatever questions that you have asked them to set up before you join the meeting. So I'm going to join the meeting, and then you will get notified that Jennifer Rice has entered the waiting room. So you can go ahead and admit them right from here. This is where your participant list is, and you can set it up as a pop-out so that you can see who it is. It will give you the option to remove or admit. You can also, in your chat feature, which is also, you can also set up as a pop-out to do that. I believe when it is not a pop-out window, there's a Zoom chat setting that you can make it a pop-out. But you can chat with everyone, obviously, in the meeting, but you can also send a message to them in the waiting room. So if somebody were to show up and they have a weird username listed and you think it's your person, but you're not sure and you're not really wanting to let somebody in if you're not 100% sure it's them, you can send them a message to the waiting room and ask, is this Jennifer Rice or is this Susie Sunshine coming to meet with me? They will get that message in the waiting room and they can respond from the waiting room, so that you can just kind of double check and verify that they are who you are waiting for. And then so you admit them and you get the little doorbell sound and they are there. You can see that they are trying to connect to audio. You can see that. Hold on. You can see that they are. You can see that they are muted. You are muted. My video is off. Their video is off. Whatever. Or actually, my video is on. My camera is just covered. Their video is off. They are muted. You can see all of that here. You can also rename them. So if they come, they've verified who they are, but their name is still not what it should be. You can go ahead and type in whatever you feel that they should be named, or whatever. If they're some weird name that you don't want to sit there and look at, you can rename them to what their proper name is, just so that you can figure out and not have to. Anyhow, so you can do that. You can ask them to unmute themselves, or of course you can just speak and they'll usually unmute themselves. You can put them back in the waiting room if they're not ready. That all can happen here. Again, that's your participation list, and it will show you the number of participants. This is your chat, and from here you can chat with everyone in the meeting, or you can privately message just the one student. As I said, presumably you only have the one student, but if you were to have 3 or 4 and you wanted to verify something with just one person, you could message just them, so only they would be able to see that chat. The polling option you won't use. It's fun, but it's not anything that you're going to need to use. Your chat, the sharing the screen, you guys already know. The breakout rooms, and I'll go over those real quick just because I don't think you will use them, but I will kind of give you a quick overview just in case you need it for anything. The other thing you should know is in security is where if you say wanted to allow the participants to share a screen, or if you wanted to not allow the participants to chat, or you can allow them to rename themselves, or you can decide not to do that. Those are all going to be in your security. The enabling waiting room is also, you can change that also live. So if you have started the meeting and realize that you don't want to worry about a waiting room because you know who's coming in, and you don't want to sit there, you're fine with them coming straight in, you can on click this, and it will tell you you have disabled the waiting room, and then you can go back and click it again. So you've enabled the waiting room. So say, a couple of the advisors were going to meet one student, and you start the meeting and you know that the advisor's coming in, but the other student isn't going to be there. If you were going to have a faculty member join you, and you don't necessarily want them to wait in the waiting room, because you're going to get up real quick and you don't want to sit there and monitor who's coming in the waiting room, you can disable the waiting room, and then once they are in there, you can re-enable it so the student has to wait. So that's an option that you can change live without having to preset it or anything. So that's that. And then the breakout room. To do the breakout rooms, you just how many ever you want. You can add a bunch. You can add one. You can add two. Automatically means as soon as you assign them, they will automatically go into that breakout room. I generally have it a manual so that way I can assign them and still talk to them before they click the link and say, okay, I just sent you the pop-out of the breakout room, but I wanted to go over a couple of things real quick, so hold off on clicking that. Whatever, I usually make it manual. It just allows for better control. So you create the breakout room, you'll get this. You can rename it. So if it is, if you are wanting a faculty member to come in and you have a student that they want to talk privately, you can faculty room name, or however you want to label them, you can label them. Once you have other participants in the meeting, then you can go ahead and assign, and you just click over here. You can assign the breakout room. They will not get the pop-up invitation on their screen until you open the rooms. So once you open the rooms, then they will see a thing that says the host has invited you to join the breakout room. You guys have seen this when I have put you in the breakout rooms. So that happens when the breakout rooms are open. Once they click join, you will notice that as they go into that room, their little dot turns green. So you know that they are in there. If they decide to leave the breakout room, or if they get bumped out of the breakout room and kicked off back, and they've left, you will see that their little green dot goes away. Because they are assigned to that breakout room, they will always be listed in that breakout room, and they will always have the ability to go back into that breakout room until they leave the Zoom altogether. So there is a little button on their screen up in the corner that says join breakout room. So if they were to click that again, they will go right. They don't have to be re-invited. They will go right back into that breakout room. So that's what that looks like. You can move them to the waiting room. You can also, if they are in one breakout room and you need to move them into another breakout room, you can do that. I did actually have to move a student because I moved them to the wrong breakout room once, and I just grabbed them and sent them to the other breakout room. And they will automatically go there. They don't have to accept that. You have dragged them out of one room and put them into another. So that's where they are now. If you close all the breakout rooms while there's somebody in there, they will get a countdown that says breakout rooms are closing. They can go ahead and leave now, and they will return to the main meeting. When everybody's out of the breakout rooms, you can delete, rename, whatever you want to do with those. you can add another one, and then it gives you options to, you can also move them automatically. And there's other options here. So, as I said, I don't envision that you guys would be using breakout rooms, but that's how the breakout room feature works. That's how the chat works, and you saw the waiting room feature. So that is essentially all of the main features. You do have the ability. The only other thing is, you as the host, if you go to end the meeting, it will ask you if you are going to leave the meeting or if you're ending the meeting for all. If you are leaving the meeting and you are the host and there is not another co-host designated, then the meeting will automatically shut for everyone, whether you end it for all or you leave the meeting. As host, once you leave, you are essentially kicking everybody out of the room. If you do have, say, another faculty member in there or another advisor in there, and you need to leave the meeting, but they are still talking, you can make them the host, and they will see. Once you do that, though, some of the options at the bottom of the screen down here will disappear. You can make them the co-host, and you are still the host, so they will only become the host once you leave the meeting. And it will ask you, are you sure you want to do that? And your controls are still there. And once you leave, they will automatically become the host, and the meeting won't close. If you make them the host, and it will ask you, your options go down to what is there. For you to get those back, they have to make you the host. And then my options are back. So again, not that you're going to do a lot of meeting sharing, hosting situations, but if you were to do that, that's how you kind of flip the hosting abilities back and forth. But yes, as a host, if you are solely the host in the meeting and there is no co-host designated, once you hit end, regardless of whether you say end for all or just leave the meeting, once you leave the meeting room will close, and it will give them a notification that says that the host has ended the meeting, and you just get booted out. So if you're done and they're lingering and you want to just be done, then you go leave and it will boot them out. They don't need to be there. Sometimes they will forget to log off. So that's a quick way to close the meeting. You just leave. And I think that is pretty much everything you need to know. So I will show you, I will also record the student screen so that you can kind of get an idea of what the student screen looks like. And I should also say that this is all on a Mac. This is all on a PC. So I don't know what it looks like on a Mac. However, the screen that I am using to run my own test is an iPad. So I would assume that it is at least some similarities to that. So when I show you what the student screen looks like from the other end of this, I would assume that the Mac would kind of have a similar sensibility with that. So this is what it looks like from the student end. If they get an email with the link, they will click the link. And if you have enabled them to join the meeting before you do, this is what they will see. They will sort of be in a holding pattern, just waiting for you to start the meeting. So they're not actually joining the main meeting room. They are joining the meeting, waiting to join. They're sort of waiting to join the meeting before you get there. And as I said, it will notify you in an email so that you can know that they have gotten there before you. So you're not waiting around in the Zoom meeting waiting for them. Once you join the meeting and start the meeting, that's what they will see, and then they can join. They will join into a waiting room, and this is the waiting room screen that you can customize with special instructions, your name. Once they are admitted to the waiting room, they will join the Zoom, and they have some options. They can go to gallery view, or you can spotlight a video, and that they will see that video as their main screen. Again, if you have your camera on with the virtual background and your camera covered, the virtual background will be what they see. So it does give you another opportunity to throw some instructions or information up there if you want. And I will put the Zoom backgrounds and some icons on the Google Drive so that you guys can access them easily and upload them as you would like. This is the chat feature, so if you are wanting to chat with them for any reason, a good reason would be if you can see that they're trying to connect to audio but you cannot hear them, and you're not sure that they can hear you, you can kind of chat back and forth and figure out, maybe the best option is for you to call them on the phone, but you will still be able to see them over the video. We've had one student who wasn't able to connect audio-wise in any way, so they could have the video and you guys can discuss things back and forth by chat. This is what they get when the breakout room happens and they're accepted. Then they accept the breakout room, and then this is what it looks like when you automatically move them. They do not get an accept that move, they just automatically move to the other breakout room. And then when the breakout room gets closed, they get a countdown and they can either go now or wait until it boots them out. You can also broadcast a message to the breakout rooms. So if you're going to close the breakout room, it will come across the main screen, a message to all the different breakout rooms. So you can do that as well. It will return them, once the breakout rooms are closed, it will return them to the main meeting. And again, if you're going to give them hosting abilities, the iPad's a little different. It won't show you the icons at the bottom, but on the desktops or the laptops, your controls for hosting are right there down at the bottom of the screen. So you can that's how the hosting abilities would be able to be transferred back and forth. Again, I don't envision that you would need that feature a lot, but it is there if you need to. And then once you leave the meeting, it automatically boots them out of the meeting. So that's sort of you closing the door at the end of the meeting. Again, the meeting itself is sort of an always accessible meeting. So if they have that link, they can theoretically use it again, but it will let you know that there's somebody waiting there, and it will put them in a waiting room situation, not in an actual meeting. So you can kind of pop in and verify, hey, why I thought we were done. I thought are we good? It's kind of somebody knocking on your door in the hallway, and you can kind of go and ask, what is it you need, and then go from there. But once you leave that meeting, it will automatically, again, close that meeting room down for the day, for however long. So that is everything that you need to know, I think.